James St. James Wow presents. I am here with the legendary legend, Kenny Scharf. You know, I remember back in 1986, you gave Elizabeth Saltzman a motorcycle.
I drove it into the restaurant.
Yes, yeah. Yes, I totally remember that.
Party.
And then afterwards, she came and visited us, and we were all gobsmacked. And since 1986, I have been wanting a Kenny Scharf Karbomb. You're gonna do my maybe a little smart car.
I have a syndrome. It's called pareidolia.
Okay.
I see faces in everything. An example that a lot of people see are cars, fronts and backs, the headlights, or the eyes,
the grills, or the teeth.
It's very obvious to most people. Everything I see, I look at, and I'm like, that is a character. I see these TV backs, and I see these faces on them, so I'm just kind of coloring them in what I see.
I always think of you as just a pure New Yorker, but you had your whole life out here beforehand.
Yeah, I'm born and raised here. The art world was going on here, but I couldn't tell because it's very isolating. Not like in New York where everyone's all together in one spot.
On top of each other, yeah.
I heard about Andy Warhol and I was like, I know that was the 60s, the factory and all that, and this is the 70s, but it's gotta be better than here. So I just left.
There was, you know, you and Keith
Haring
and Jean-Michel. There was like the Ann Magnuson and Joey Arias, and you were all sort of at Club 57.
I actually met Jean-Michel in 1978 and introduced him to Keith and a lot of other people. Like we had met at SVA in the cafeteria.
Oh yeah?
My first week in school in 1978. He was 17, I was 19. He wasn't going to the school, but cool kids hung out in the cafeteria.
Right.
I mean, locked eyes, and I was holding his portfolio, and he was like, well, let me see. And I showed him this painting. First thing he said to me, and I'll never forget how weird it is, you're gonna be famous. And I was like, what a weird thing to say, like right off. There was a thing called the Times Square Show, which was in '81, and they had a lot of these uptown Bronx graffiti artists and whatnot, and then the new wavers like me, Keith, and Jean-Michel. This cultures kind of collided, and that's when we found all of them being part of Mud Club, and the downtown scene got mixed up with the hip-hop scene.
At the time, do you realize that this is something big?
At the time?
Or is it just kids hanging out and not realizing that
It's a combination. I mean, we're just kids hanging out, just being spontaneous and doing stuff, but we also knew there was magic going on. No one else did, so basically we're doing it for each other.
Right.
But that didn't
but that's the most fun. Yeah,
exactly.
Because then you aren't performing, it's just like you're just like...
and it's not about money. No one was making any money, so it was just really art for art, which is very rare these days. You don't really find it.
And this is around the time when you're living with Keith?
Yeah, around that time. We lived in this crazy, ramshackle 1840s brownstone that had never been fixed up. You walk up the stairs and literally the banister would fall off. Cosmic Cavern, my blacklight room, started there in a closet in that house that I put a blacklight in and started getting garbage from the street, and different people would come over and add to it, like Fat Five Freddy also did that. A lot of it is TV backs, similar to some of these pieces I'm doing now, but everything's under blacklight and everything is painted fluorescent. I need to be always excited and discovering and learning new things. I have many different styles of painting. I have many different subject matter. Sometimes it's pure color and beauty. Sometimes I'm making a hard political statement. Sometimes it's abstract. Sometimes it's surreal. All of my murals and the car bombs I do on the spot. It's a spontaneous thing. It's almost like a jazz musician. They're making it up on the spot. So it's the same thing. I've got my music. I know how to play these different things, but then I'm letting things happen on their own. I learned a lot about painting, doing graffiti, illegal painting, where you run up to a wall and you gotta do something really fast. If you do something really horrific, you can't erase it. You can't go over it.
You just have to keep working with it.
Exactly, and just get the hell out. So this is the kind of spirit of the car bombs, and every single time I'm like, there's a chance that I'm gonna fuck up. It's on someone's car.
No, you can't say that, dude. Don't you say that.
It doesn't happen.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't, but there is that chance, so which gives a little fear factor, and it makes it kind of exciting. Every mark you make is gonna stay. Car bombs are about art for art because there's no money attached to it. Great art doesn't always have to have a monetary value on it. When I first started to become an artist, the art world was very small. It was important what it was about and why it was important. This is kind of gone. There's no such thing as art critique anymore, and I think that's a shame.
Is the world becoming flatter and duller?
It started getting flatter and duller in the 70s, when cars went from turquoise and fins and crazy things to, you know, avocado and ochre and boxy shapes. That's what happened in the 70s. I take that aesthetic that I grew up with, where every single designed object was a fantasy. And when it got sad and depressing in the 70s, I said, why is it so boring? I'm just gonna keep it going. I'm just gonna keep it going on a personal level. So whenever I take existing objects, like telephones, cars, whatever it is that we use and they're beige and they're boring, I transform them to suit them for the way I want to see the world.
Karbombz at KennyScharf.com, Karbombz with a K, and they're absolutely free every single time.
Happy car bombing.
Thank you, I've been car bombed! Ah!